Greetings and welcome everybody to the Live Your Song podcast. We are a podcast show that is all about spotlighting businesses that are making a difference in their communities. And right now, just given what we have gone through over the last several months with the COVID crisis in this country and all around the world, any business that's still up and running and is making a difference in their community is a very special business in our estimation. We're absolutely thrilled that we have a growing team here in Princeton, Indiana, that are small business advocates. They absolutely believe that small business is the backbone of our economy, and they're out here trying to bring the small business community together more here in Princeton, where that we can be stronger together. Whether it's just getting to know each other, where we can refer business to each other, or whether it's about coming up with new solutions to help in the community in some way, shape, or form. When a country or a world is hit with the level of challenge that has hit all of us over the last several months, small businesses are usually pretty flexible. They're very solutions oriented, and they have the ability to bring people together and to keep moving because we don't have as much of the bureaucracy and the red tape that holds us down from being able to keep going forward. So thank you all for joining us today. And we're excited to have some businesses with us here today. And we're going to give each one of them a little bit of a spotlight here where they can get to know each other. And you can get to know everybody here as well, because we definitely want people to have the opportunity to know who these people are, to know who the businesses are, and to be able to build those know, like, and trust relationships that just helps to make a community stronger. So I don't know, have I got a volunteer who's willing to go first, or shall I call on someone? Mr. Seth, are you willing?
Yeah, sure. I know something was brought to my attention this week about small businesses and their credit card fees. Not a lot of people are being able to handle the processing fees and having to shut their credit card machines down and take cash in a growing to be non-cash society. Well, the solution to that problem is offered here during this podcast. On the flyer that you were given, there is a site you can go to get a quote. I highly recommend you at least check it out. Just go in there and put your information. There's no strings attached. See if it might save you some money. It may or may not, but I'm willing to bet it will. So I would give it a shot.
Awesome. Thank you, Seth. Absolutely. That was one of the things that we heard when we were out here in the streets talking to businesses was, there were some businesses who had stopped taking credit cards altogether. There were some that were just kind of frustrated that there was such a large chunk of their income that was going towards credit card processing fees. So definitely that sounds like a resource that a lot of folks here in Princeton could take advantage of, at least getting a free quote. So thank you, Seth. We appreciate that. Miss Darlene Satori, you willing to say hello, introduce yourself, and tell everybody what you've got in the works these days?
Well, if I can be heard over the great grandkids with their TV going,
I hear you
I
fine.
will say hi and great. I will say hi, and my major project is called Ideal Network Projects, and it's all about helping individuals to connect with each other. We have the idealadsnetwork.com site where you can post free ads. And of course, we have activities like this podcast and ways we can network together. And so it is all about reaching out and finding out what each of us need and what we have that we can offer and network and work together. This is community building and family building. What are the things that we can do to help each other? And if we don't know what the needs are, then we can't reach out to help. So that's kind of where we're at, is what does the community need? What do we as individuals need? And what do we have that we can help each other with? So that's, you know, the basic of where our whole idea is. And we have property in town in Princeton at 120 East Water Street. You can always stop by and talk to Kim there. She can kind of let you know what we're doing in this area. And of course, you can also connect with Cheyenne there. They have their beautiful RV parked there on the parking lot, so you can actually see we're real people doing real things. And then we have property out in the country that we're building an intentional community out here for individuals. We're starting off as a recreation camp, primarily for special needs people. And oh, by the way, we all have special needs. So that's what it is finding out what our special needs is and how we can build communities around that. So if we can connect, and what is it you have that we might be able to work with, and go from there.
Awesome. And Darlene, her company also sponsors something called the Ideal Ads Network. And I just put a link in the chat for everybody. And everybody who attends here tonight will also get an email with that same link. And basically, you go to idealadsnetwork.com and you click on that link, and you will see there's a button up at the top that says publish your ad. And if you just click on that, then everybody who's here has the opportunity for a free ad on that webpage. And I'm currently working on being administrator for that page. So as soon as I see you guys put an ad in there, it's going to go up, it's going to go live. And there is quite a bit of traffic that comes through that page. So there's no reason that anybody should not have an ad there. It is totally complimentary. There's no fee for it. It's just another way that Darlene and her team is working on helping to promote the small business community here in the Princeton and Gibson County areas. So we thank you for that as well, Darlene. So Miss Stacy Nelson, are you willing to introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and what you do?
My name is Stacy Nelson, and I am the founder of Rockstar, and I am a Christian ordained minister. My focus is doing weddings, ceremonies, funeral ceremonies, and baptismal ceremonies. And I also do photography.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm assuming that you serve more than just the Princeton area. You go out beyond that as well?
Yes, I'll go anywhere that they will ask me to travel.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And I'm kind of curious, is there a special, something special about that name, Rockstar?
Well, Christ is my rock, and he's the shining star of the world, and my Jeep's name is Rockstar.
I love it. That's awesome. We always encourage people to build a brand around what it is that they're doing. So that's perfect. That sounds exactly the right thing for you to be doing. Ms. Jamie, you willing to say hello and tell us about the business here you're representing?
Hi, I'm here with Susan Bob's Pizza, and I'm really here just to see what kind of ideas that you guys have. Everything's changed in the food industry with COVID-19, so I'm just hanging out to see what kind of ideas that you guys have, what you guys have encountered, how you're dealing with all of it. So I'm just kind of here to listen to what you guys have to say.
Awesome, awesome. Well, and that's great. Again, networking, getting people talking to each other, I think is one of the most valuable things that we can do to help in the small business community at this time. And Ms. Kim Cotillar, can you say hello and tell everybody who you are and what you're doing these days?
Well, I'm Kim Cotillar. I live right here in Princeton, Indiana. I do a lot of different things. The many things I participate in as far as teamwork. It's never just me or I doing any certain thing. I work with different teams of people doing many different things. And one of those things is helping in our community with people from jail to work programs. Another thing would be for homelessness, for people working with them. Also working with people doing NA or AA recovery. Also people doing transitional housing. We have many people that are homeless, not because of drugs or alcohol or things like that. Some of them people have lost a spouse. Some of those people have lost a parent. And there's many ways, there's programs. So we kind of connect them to different places and people and things to help them to go in the right direction for the whatever type of help that they need. Also, I'm a longevity rep, and I believe in health and wellness and weight management. And I've had a lot of health issues in my life, and so I'm addressing those. And, you know, the sooner we can address those, the better off we are. I'm a little late getting started in my life with having several surgeries and a couple of strokes and a heart attack, but I've made a lot of progress, and I really love the company that I represent as far as longevity. It's not only legally compliant, but it's a high-tech, high-technology, medically researched, highly dedicated to life extension and preventive medicines. And virtually, you could just say it adds to your life. And I'm just really happy to say that I'm a big part of that too. And anyone who wants to know anything, just give me a holler, give me a call, give me an email, and maybe we can address that. Because on our on the website there, you can even do your own health exam and put in all your symptoms and different things, and it will suggest things that you could do to make your life better. And I love health and wellness. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can attest. We're watching Kim transform right in front of us here, so it's a wonderful thing. Well, and you know, my name is Cheyenne Kramer, for those of you who don't know me, and my home base is actually in the area of Raleigh, North Carolina, but we are here in Princeton. We've been here for several weeks and hope to be here a few more before we move on. We have some things to do in Virginia before too, awfully long. But we travel around, and we, again, are small business advocates. We're pulling together small businesses. We have teams that we call We Care Partnerships Network, and we bring together small businesses to work together to be able to create solutions in our communities. So, you know, we have a basic needs team, similar to like what Kim was talking about, working with helping people with homelessness issues, helping people come through addiction challenges, people who have come out of the prison system. We've been doing that kind of work in a lot of different places. And we also are building a health and wellness team, a peace and justice team, and a prosperity team, because we do a lot of teaching of entrepreneurial skills everywhere that we go. So, you know, with this podcast right now, we are being sponsored by DAC Healthcare. And so we're also letting small businesses know that if they haven't been able to afford a healthcare program for themselves or their employees, that we actually have a solution, one that the business does not have to contribute to if they've got less than 50 employees. And it's an amazing thing because there's no deductibles, there's no pre-existing condition exclusions. So all of those kinds of things are part of the DAC healthcare program. And that's just another way that we can help to support in the community, especially given all the challenges that COVID has brought to so many people. We think it's time for more people to be able to have access to the healthcare that they need and not have to pay quite so much for it. So that's part of what we're out here representing and doing as well. So definitely kind of curious, Jamie, you made a mention about changes since COVID. I mean, are you willing to share with us anything about the changes that you've experienced in your company?
Well, as far as our customers that come through the door, the wearing of the mask, and whether you enforce the wearing of the mask or not, Right now, we don't enforce it. A lot of people don't like to wear it, but we really encourage. We're not trying to be bossy. We're not trying to force you to do anything. We encourage you to wear it, not just for your own safety.
Oh, I think we lost Jamie. Well, hopefully she'll be back in a moment. There she goes. She's coming back. Oh,
The Wi-Fi in the building. For the employees, you know, to wear a mask in 100-degree heat and what safety precautions that we have to take. Is this all brand new to everyone? We have the mask mandate by the governor now, so we ask that you wear it in the building. We ask that when you get to your table to dine in, you can take it off, but if you want to move freely around the building, you have to have it on. We do offer curbside, which is something new for us. We also have the regular dine-in, the pickup, and delivery, but then with the curbside along with it, we're just trying to expand what we offer for the customers that don't feel comfortable around everyone else.
gotcha, gotcha. So yeah, you're already answering my second question that I was going to ask people was, have you added any new services or anything as a result of COVID? And so you're saying that curbside pickup is a new one for you guys.
It is.
Good deal, good deal. But it sounds like you've managed to kind of flex and move with whatever's going on. So you're still with us. That's a good thing.
We have been, as far as it goes, we have been very fortunate. Our business hasn't gone down. It hasn't even stayed, the same. We have been busier now than we have ever been. And with the adding of the curbside, that brings new customers in, because whereas a lot of people took that away for a while, it wasn't anything that we ever stopped. The curbside is something we continued to offer, and that's just helped keep our clientele up and our people going.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So yeah, and see, that's a beautiful voice of hope out there for folks, because we have heard that there have been some businesses that really have flourished in all of this, and that's a great thing for sure. I see a question came into the chat that somebody wanted to know: are you guys doing online orders?
Not yet. We have a meeting on Monday to set up a POS system for online orders, which that will be a new service for us also.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And have you guys changed your hours of operation at all since all of this hit?
They're the same. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is 4 to 9. Friday and Saturday 4 to 10, and then Sunday is 4 to 9 again. So we've kept the same hours of operation, and we've been, like I said, busier than we ever have been.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm glad for that for you guys, because it hasn't been the case for some, that's for sure. But,
Companies.
Gotcha. I'm just curious, Miss Stacy, I know you're still kind of in a startup phase. I mean, have you given any thought to, anything that you could offer different as a result of the COVID crisis? How could you put yourself in a slightly different space than perhaps some of the other ministries out here that are offering the weddings and funerals and all of the different kinds of services that you can offer, and the photography too?
I just try to make myself most available as I can, and I try to benefit them the best way that I know how.
Okay. All right. So I'm sure that when you're working with folks, asking a lot of questions to try to get a sense of where their head is at and what their comfort level is with some of the different things, like what Jamie was talking about with the pizza place. They've made a lot of changes to try to make sure people maintain being comfortable with, the environment. I mean, it's a different world we're living in at this point. No doubt about it. Kim, anything different in your world with what you've seen over the last few months?
Lots of things are different. I find that I have to read the door every time I walk into a business because I never know which business is going to make me wear a mask and which ones aren't. Um, I try to remember to carry a mask just so that if I do have to go somewhere and that is someplace that I need something from, that I have it to go in, especially if it's for my medication or something. But
Hmm.
um, honestly, I don't particularly like the mask and really don't want to wear the mask. It's very hard. I know even for my daughter who has asthma,
Mm.
she can't hardly keep a mask on her face for any length of time. It just causes her to choke. She gets extremely hot and flushed, and it's hard for her. I haven't seen her in a month, and I know she's struggling with the whole mask thing as well, and
Mhm.
uses an inhaler regularly. So I haven't seen her. I've talked to her, a lot, and she has two children, and then the other daughter has two children.
Mhm.
Um, they have the whole school thing is changing. They can either do virtual school or they can go to school.
Mhm.
They're giving the parents right now, the last I heard, they had an option of sending their children to school or they could do virtual learning at home. So I think they're letting the parents decide at this time.
That's a
But
good
that's
thing.
going to be totally, totally new, not just, I mean, even for the kids, it's just going to be hard for everyone to adjust. Some people are not used to doing homeschooling. And if you have a parent, especially maybe a single mom with 5 kids, for example, and they're all in different grades, I mean,
Mhm.
how is she going to do that? That's going to be a struggle.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, and I know you bring up the whole mask thing has become such an incredibly, it's controversial in some marinas. There's a lot of emotions around some of it with some folks, and it was interesting when we were out talking to folks around Princeton. There were a lot of businesses that had some very different views about the whole mask issue. So, if I understand correctly, everybody's been asked to recommend that masks be worn everywhere, but my understanding is that in most cases, most people are not really trying to force the issue. So, that's a good thing. And there's some businesses that we went into just said, I'm not pushing it on anybody. So there's definitely a lot of different perspectives on that out there, and I honor and respect everybody's perspectives on it. In fact, I used to be, when I was young, I had asthma really bad. And, I think I would have a really hard time dealing with wearing a mask all the time if I still had asthma. So I totally understand that one for sure. Um, Darlene, you have any thoughts on, has anything changed with some of the work that you're doing over the last few months as a result of the whole COVID thing?
Well, I probably can say I'm enjoying staying in the country home a lot more. I am one of these that I helped start the EMS system in Indiana many, many years ago. And so I'm quite well versed in a lot of the challenges of what goes on in this situation. And I'm very one of these who I'm taking a stand against masks because I know that it does more harm for most people than it does good. And what I'm finding is that people do not get the scientific information that's accurate. They're getting what the media wants to feed to them or what the other agendas are. And this is all about just seeing how much we can control people. And so I think that another thing that I've changed a lot is I just have learned to shop online and have things delivered, which makes life a lot easier. But that hurts the small businesses locally. So I'm making actually a list of those organizations locally who are not causing any problems with me entering without a mask, and those are the ones I shop at. Those are protecting our rights as individuals. We were born and we're free sovereign individuals. And if I want to take that risk of being infected by something that somebody else might share, my thing is strengthening my immune system so that I am able to resist. Because we do need to be exposed to different kinds of germs and viruses and things in order to build our immunity. And so we need to understand how our bodies work more. So I guess what I've done more than anything else is learn more about immunity and how things make us healthier and stronger and safer in our own realm. And you know, it's been an interesting. I've enjoyed sitting back and watching in many ways how people are interacting. And I love to be able to see people smile. And with a mask on, you can't see that smile. And,
That's true.
And so it's, I feel like we're really cheating ourselves. And so I think this is a great time to stand up and say, I don't care what a governor says, he's not my boss. And from what I'm understanding is most of the quote unquote officials are not enforcing because they know that he has not got the right to do what he's doing. And if we have to challenge him in court, so be it. He'll lose because he is not standing on the laws of the land. And so it's up to us whether we decide to be slaves or not. So I guess one of the things that I've learned out of this more than anything else is stand up for your rights.
I gotcha.
Yep, that's
Yep, and you know, there's a lot of people who feel really strongly about that, and I totally understand that. I think you bring up a really good point though, and I'm sure that Kim, with some of the work she's doing, is thinking a lot about this, and I know that Seth has been thinking a lot about it as well. Is that you know, one of the things that I think a lot of people have started to think more about is how do I build my immune system? You know, because there's so many people who have been run down and, you know, easily catching things and things of that nature. And that's an important question for all of us to ask is, you know, how do we build our immune system so that we can be strong enough to not be affected by these things that do come along? And that's a biggie. And I know that there are different ways that nutrition can help to strengthen the body. It's very important that we learn about those kinds of things, and you know, definitely encourage people to think, you know, proactively, because everything we're being told to do is very reactive in terms of, you know, washing your hands and wearing your masks and all this kind of stuff. But proactively, if we work on building our own immune systems, and you know, Darlene's in the more senior crowd, and you know, and yet she's saying, I'm not going to fear what's going on out here. I still want to have my individual rights, and I think that's a wonderful thing. So, yeah, there's definitely been a lot of different things. Seth, did you have anything to add to that particular question? Are you doing anything differently or doing anything in business as a result of the whole COVID scenario?
Tell you the truth, I try to stay away from anything that has that word on it now. I mean,
Okay.
I don't want to read it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I definitely don't want to share it. I don't want. It's just spreading the fear.
That's true. That's true. And I know you've had a significant number of health challenges yourself. So, you know, I know you're working on building up your, you know, helping your body to heal and working on building up your immune system too. So all of those things are a really good thing. So here's the other question that I always love to ask people in business, because, and even if you're not, quote, a business owner, I still love to hear people's answer about this, because I think this is one of the questions that people had an opportunity to think about you know, if a business had closed down at all. It sounds like the pizza place didn't close down at all through this. And so you guys were really fortunate and really blessed in all of this. But most people had an opportunity to sit at home and think about some things they'd not thought of previously, or maybe not in a long time. So the question I love to ask is, if you had a closet full of money and it was never going to run out, what would you be doing with your time? Kim, what would you be doing with your time if you had that closet full of money that was never going to run out? I think you've already told us some of it, but if you got something specific that pops to mind.
Well, I have dreams, you know, and one of them is to move up the ladder, not necessarily in society, but in my personal business with longevity. The other one would be to, if I had money that was never going to run out, I believe that Gibson County needs better services in the area of mental health, and also more facilities offering more services to those people who are recovering from recovering addicts or recovering alcoholics. Also, more aid to the homeless. I think we should be helping them to recover. I don't think that anyone only gets one chance. I think that we should be a community of second chances, and that we should give people opportunities. And I think that we need to be offering more opportunities. So if I had a closet full of money and I could employ a staff as big as I wanted to, I would be getting doctors and nurses and psychologists and NA and AA reps. I'd be trying to reach out to the community with mental health services, with everything that we don't really have here. We have just a smidgen of what this county actually needs. We need so much more.
Wow. You just made me think I need to connect you with a gal that I met today. This is a gal who's back in North Carolina, where our home base is, but oh my word, she has taken up doing mental health virtual retreats. She was
Wow.
planning on taking people on all kinds of trips that were going to be mental health retreats, but now she's figured out how to do online retreats for mental health, and I think she's got one coming up a week from tomorrow, and
Wow.
it's free. So I'll have to connect you to that so you can get a sense of what she's doing, because I think she's a really dynamic gal. So, and I'm with you. We need more of that mental health assistance out here, and especially the number of people who have become so traumatized by all of the COVID stuff. So remind me to connect you with her, Kim. I think you'd enjoy it.
Sure
Uh,
thing. I think a lot of the thing with the COVID is fear, you
yes,
know, and our mental health can be damaged by fear if we allow it to be. So, you know, we
exactly.
have to be able to take a hold of that fear and get rid of it and address it appropriately. And some of us have trouble with that.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Ms. Jamie, what would you personally be doing if you had a closet full of money that would never run out?
Personally, my husband and I just want to buy a tiny house and move to the mountains and live far from people, and that's it. Our kids are, you know, they're 18 and 14, so we're getting them through the last of school, and we would just move and be the two of us. We're each other's best friends, and we like to stay that way and live together. And that, I mean, honestly, that is what I would do if I had a closet full of money. But I am curious of what your stance is on this, the kids going back to school. I know that one of the other ladies was talking about it a moment ago, and it is the parents' choice as far as whether they stay. In the beginning, they had the option, they could do virtual learning or they could go to school. But the only way virtual learning could be done is the fact if they had a note from their doctor. Well, they reevaluated that at North Gibson, and it is the parents' choice. And I am very curious as to what everyone else thinks about the kids returning to school and how they, I mean, do they think this will spread? If they do, would you personally keep kids home if you had them? I don't want them sitting in masks all day because I do believe the masks are terrible for you. So just
Mm.
curious.
Wow. Well, and I'm sure I'm guessing that
Jump in there.
there's probably some similar feelings here. But we're empty nesters, and I'm laughing as you're talking about the tiny home, because basically that's what my husband and I have done, is we've moved into a tiny home on wheels called a motorhome. And and so we can go to the
Right.
mountains and we can go to the lakes, but we can also come and help out in different communities where we really want to see the economy get strengthened. So that's exactly what we're about. But we our kids are grown, but we've said for a while that I think at this moment that there's more damage being done to our children by not letting them be in school. For one, the percentage of kids who've gotten really deathly ill from COVID has been extremely small, and it's I use the example of a Facebook post that I saw a few weeks ago that just tore me up when I read it, because our kids are being traumatized. Our kids need to be socialized. They need to be able to be with other kids. They need to be able to build their immune systems. And they do that by being exposed to other things that happens in the school. And, but the post on Facebook that just disturbed me so much was, a dad was talking about how he took his son out to a store. And when they came out of the store, something happened and the son's mask fell off. This child immediately dropped to the ground and started screaming hysterically because he thought he was about to die.
Right.
So that kind of fear and trauma is, if that is what's going on in our kids, oh my God, that will stay with them for the rest of their lives. And that's my personal feeling. I think I'd be looking for my kids to be able to still go to school. I don't think it's that dangerous for our youth. Anybody else have thoughts?
Yeah, I'll add another perspective that I take an opposite view in the fact that I think that schooling is not for socialization. I think recreation is for times for socialization. Going out to parks, going out and into our neighbors' homes and playing. I think that education, I'm very much for personalized education, always have been. And I think that our schools are actually dumbing our kids down rather than lifting them up. I'm very much a Montessori person, observe the child and provide the child's needs. And some kids, they need the structure of schools. Other kids know they are much better off on being able to learn. And what I call the encyclopedia method is when you get engrossed in something, don't ring the bell and tell me I got to go from math and now go to English class. No, I'm working on my math problem. I want to stay with this until I figure it out, or I'm working on a science project. We need to give our children the ability to be self-governors and self-learners, and we're not doing that. We're putting them into prisons, and schools have become more like a prison than it has for our kids, and I think that traumatizes our kids. So it is up to the parents and the child to look within themselves and say, what works for me? What works for the child? And then be able to do it in a personalized method, not because somebody says you're supposed to do this or you're supposed to do that. No, the question is what is right for that individual according to their DNA needs and this is why what we're doing in the country here is creating a support system for, number one, starting primarily with the single parents that don't have the abilities, but it can be married couples or whatever with kids, is to be able to have a place for them to come and interact out in the country and that kind of thing. So and I'd like to see every community, every neighborhood have these kinds of things. You can start right in your neighborhood. Local churches, local organizations can pull together to make an area where their children can interact and not be forced off into something that they really can't develop their strengths and their abilities. So, I think that we are a nation that's supposed to be building ourselves on freedom and liberty and be able to do things that are life empowering, not because somebody else told you to do it, but because it's what makes you feel best and what you makes you feel healthy and happy. So, I'm very much that I think it's an individual choice, and we need to really, really be standing up for our rights to be able to make choices as a parent. We are the
Absolutely.
responsibility of our children, not someone else. So
That is true. That is true. And I'm actually, I was on the phone earlier today with some folks in North Carolina, and there's actually a woman there who has taken it upon herself to homeschool several families in her neighborhood. These were families that, the kids typically were kind of challenged in school anyway, and she, has taken it on where she's gotten a lot of materials and stuff for homeschooling, and she's got, I think she said 5 or 6 families that she's going to sit there and homeschool them right in her home. So that's another option that's out there. And I think, Darlene makes some good points. There's definitely some value to doing that kind of scenario if you can. So,
and businesses often can help in this realm. Is a lot of times they have enough space in their places that they can actually welcome the people to bring their children there, and they can actually help with childcare and etc. So we need to think outside the box. I tell people all the time is your home is your first business, and bring your business there if you can. And then the businesses, if they can provide childcare or homeschooling, personalized. I don't like the word homeschooling because I don't even like the word schooling, because school are for fish.
That's right.
And it's again, I'm just very much personalized because I see the values that personals bring. The small businesses, they are the backbone that makes America great. And getting our children involved in doing part of the business. What is it they can do? Picking up the papers or sweeping the floors or helping bring coffee to somebody, things that they can do. The kids just love to be involved when you let them be. And this is, again, entrepreneurs in training.
Absolutely. Well, Darlene, I know Jamie says she's got to run. She's apparently still in the restaurant, God bless her, and I'm sure it's busy. So,
which restaurant?
Thank you guys so much.
I didn't get an understanding of exactly where Jamie's restaurant is.
I will put it in the chat here real quick. I'll put the address and the restaurant name and telephone and everything right now, okay?
That's awesome. It's Susan Bobe's Pizza, Darlene. She's right there on Broadway.
Oh, my favorite place.
Well, we've appreciated having you with us, Jamie. And we'll definitely send you an email with all the information. We'll get you a copy of this so you have it there. And make sure that either you or Susan or whoever puts an ad up on the Ideal Ads Network. We'll make sure that gets published for you too.
I'll do that. Thank you guys so much. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
All right. Well, Miss Stacy, I'm kind of curious, if you had a closet full of money that was never going to run out, what would you be doing with your time?
Honestly, I'm planning on buying a piece of property out in Arizona that I can put my house in and start a business out there.
Wow.
Of doing the same thing I'm doing here, as well as running a small homeless shelter and a community relax and unwind center.
Wow, that's what I need. Relax and unwind.
Oh, wow. Well, the thing is, until you move off to Arizona, just know you've got a group of people right here who are working on some of those same kinds of issues. There might be opportunities for you to be able to collaborate with some of these folks.
And that would be really awesome.
Awesome. Good deal. And you did put your contact information in the chat somewhere, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Good deal. And Seth, I'm sure you've got some interesting thoughts. If you had the closet full of money that was never going to run out, what would you be doing?
Uh, First thing I would do is I would get my license back and go back to the trenches because I know where to find the people that are actually wanting to get out because I've been there
Mm,
and I know where they're all at. I know how to find them.
gotcha.
They stay
Gotcha.
hid real well. Another thing I'd do, I'd make sure everybody around me has an E2 plus pendant and make sure that everybody's immune systems is all taken care of. I would make sure and supply everybody around me with everything that's needed for the upcoming um, changes. And then I would do some on foot um, missionary work uh,
Wow.
down in the dirt and pull out some pull out some souls, bring
Gotcha.
them to the light.
I love it. Good stuff. Good stuff. We've got a lot of very spiritually based people here today, and that's a beautiful thing too. Darlene, I think you pretty much do mostly what you want to do anyway. But I mean, if you had a big pile of money land on your head, what would you be doing right now?
Well, first I'd find my way back to the conference room. Yeah, I would be just speeding up what we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
because having these ideal communities in every community is what we all need, is ways that we can connect and work together,
Mm-hmm.
and then just building our communities, and be just going around. First thing is downtown area. Look at what we can do with the downtown area that we've been talking about for years.
Mm-hmm.
I would be buying more property out in the country and connecting it like we originally planned. So I'd just be speeding up the original plans that we had back in the 60s and 70s of
Gotcha.
making this happen on a global scale. And I think that we had the internet way
Mm-hmm.
back when,
Mm-hmm.
things would have speeded up, and now it's a matter of learning to use our connectivity here, like you're doing here, is reaching out to the communities, going door to door, talking to the communities, using some of what the church organizations do, going house to house. We used to have things called welcome committees,
Mm.
so we could be doing that again. It's going out and helping individuals to knocking on doors, and what is it that you need to be done around your house. This is part of what our handy dandy helpers could do, is actually just going out and saying what needs to be done in your home that we can help out today. What's our random act of kindness that we can do? So if we
Yep.
didn't have to worry, quote unquote, about money, what would we be doing with our day?
Yeah.
Turn that TV off. And, the greatest thing that happened to me, I'm going to tell you this silly little thing that happened, is lightning hit our home here in the country and knocked out every one of our TVs. I'm so glad. I've got one TV that I keep going now for the great grandkids to watch their educational things, and I refuse to listen to the news. Every time I turn on a newscast, it's about the same old stuff, and it's not worth listening to. So, sometimes lightning knocks, it's like that gets your attention. Don't waste your time watching TV unless it's really got something value creative. Be out doing random acts of kindness, which is what
That's
I'm
right.
doing out here on my property. Taking
There
care of
you
my
go.
gardens, taking care of the property. That's the random act of kindness that I'm doing for my property.
There
And
you
so we
go.
all can do just random acts of kindness for ourselves. So if we had all the money in the world, that's exactly what I'd be doing, is random acts of kindness.
I love it. I love it. That's great. That actually reminds me a lot of when we were in Florida. I told you about the Florida Dream Center that we met up with down there, and they actually were doing that every Saturday. They had between 50 and 75 volunteers that would show up, and one of the teams, which typically was at least 10 or 15 people, that's what they did, was they walked the streets around that dream center, which was in a lower income community, and they knocked on doors and asked people what they needed. And they did. They found donated appliances to go into some people's homes. They found, they fixed wheelchair ramps. They, did all kinds of repair work and stuff out there. So yeah, I mean, it's really cool when a community can come together and do those kinds of things. Well, I know we're getting to the point we should probably be wrapping this up, but I'm just curious because I know Miss Stacy's really trying to find some folks that would appreciate her services, and she's still kind of in the early stages of business startup. Anybody have any ideas on where she might be able to connect with some people who have interest? She is an ordained professional Christian, and she's out here to do weddings and funerals, and she's a photographer. She can do all kinds of different things like that. Anybody have any ideas for some connections for her?
Has she been to the funeral homes and left her business card so that if someone needed to hire her for her services? Because a lot of times, if they can't afford or they don't, in other words, maybe they don't exactly agree with the type of religious person that's in the funeral home. Maybe they need somebody else who's not quote unquote of a certain faith, but could do it. I don't know if she's of a certain faith or if that's something that would even interest her. But there are many times, I know whenever my sister, for example, was having my brother-in-law married a few years ago, she would not allow the funeral home director to appoint the minister that worked for them to do it there at the chapel. She got her own, you know what I'm saying? And so they do keep business cards of people, for other contact in case you don't want to use their services, you can contact someone else. So that might be some place for her to leave her card. Also, there's all kinds of bulletin boards all over town, like at the laundromat, the grocery stores, finders keepers. There's many places where she could leave a business card and maybe pick up a few new accounts that way as well.
Well, I think we found her business card on a bulletin board, so she's definitely doing some of that. But Stacy, have you been to any of the funeral homes and asked to leave some cards with them?
I actually never thought about leaving them at the funeral homes because I didn't know you were allowed to.
Well,
now there may be, some of them may not, but I know there are some in Evansville that allow it.
I'll look into it.
That's awesome.
Thank you for that information.
Have you tried running an ad in the paper?
Not yet, I haven't.
The Gibson County Star Times is much cheaper than the Clarion. I will tell you that.
That's always an option. I know she's trying to figure out low-cost ways, to not have to put out a bunch of money to be able to get some of these things started. But I just figured that you have some pretty good connector type people on here. So if anybody else has any other thoughts, on places that Stacy could connect, I sure know she would appreciate it.
A lot of people don't want to get married by a justice of the peace, but they want to get married at the courthouse because it's cheaper than having a big old wedding, because for less than $50 you can get married. So, by the time you pay for your $18 for your marriage license and that, And as long as you don't have to pay the justice of the peace, then But a lot of people don't want to get married by a justice of the peace. They want to be married by a minister. But the courthouse will allow you. I don't know with COVID going on how they're doing that, but they will allow a minister, for example. I know, like when my daughter was married up here at the courthouse, she didn't have a big wedding, but she didn't want to get married by a justice of the peace, but they allowed a minister to come in and marry her there.
Oh,
It was a minister of her choice. So I don't know if they take business cards there at the clerk's office for that or not, but it'd be worth calling to find out.
I have tried putting them in the clerk's office, and they told me that they would have to talk to what is his name, Jim, the clerk that is the main guy there, and they never got back with me whether they were going to allow it or not.
Oh,
But I
wow.
have tried.
May have to follow up with them because they get too sidetracked real easy.
I get
Government agencies, they're sometimes
Yeah.
like that.
Yes, they are.
Good deal, good deal. Well, anybody else have any other final thoughts before we wrap this up for the night?
Well, for Stacy, your hair salons are a great place. Beauticians do weddings. They do the whole bridal, the bride, the groom. They do all these different things. Fixing people's hair, jewelry, makeup. Those might be some other avenues you might want to, pass out a business card to.
Absolutely.
I have them hung up in the salons, the
Cool.
local salons. I do have them in there.
Okay.
Awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, and just recognize that anytime that you can meet any of the folks that are in there, where an individual might actually have your card, that's an even better thing. That's why I think that for me, my husband and I have always been out here meeting lots of business owners and such, and we've always gone to big networking events. So that to me has been kind of one of the challenges of COVID is, trying to get people to come into the online world to meet each other because, they're making it so difficult for you to get out and meet people face to face. And yet that's still the best way to develop business is, the face-to-face meetings and getting connected with people that way. Actually, Stacy, one thing that comes to my mind is do a search. Actually, this just popped into my head. Now I know why I asked you about Rockstar, because there's actually a group, and it's now virtual and it's now nationwide called Rockstar Connect. And if you go to meetup.com and do a search on Rockstar Connect, you will find these virtual meetings, very much like what you're attending here right now, where you can meet business owners all over the darn place. And you never know. I mean, I don't even know. Are they doing such a thing as virtual weddings now? Actually, they are. I got an invitation to a virtual wedding recently. So there's another thing for you to think about, Stacy. Can you do virtual weddings? I have a funny feeling that's going to become a bigger thing.
I can do anything I put my mind to.
Thank you. That's the right answer. But that would be an interesting way to see if you could connect with other business owners. And if you could do that, and it didn't matter where the businesses were, because I know Rockstar Connect connects people all over the country. If you could put yourself out there as, the virtual wedding minister, or, whatever terminology you could come up with that you want to call it, and if you can go in there and talk about being your company's rock star, I think you would probably create a buzz amongst the Rockstar Connect groups. So I would invite you to check that out. Go to meetup.com, and it's Rockstar Connect, and they are doing lots of nationwide business networking meetings, and it's free. So it's totally free to get your name out there. And just think about, how could you put yourself out there to do virtual weddings? Because I'm not kidding. It was only 2 days ago. I had never seen this before. and I got a text message from a woman I've known for 20 years inviting me to her virtual wedding.
That's crazy.
Yep. But it's kind of like, you know, what Jamie was talking about with Susan Bobe's Pizza. They have changed and added services. They're getting ready now, so people are going to be able to do online ordering. You know, they already created the curbside kind of thing. So whenever you can find a need and fill it, if you can be on the front end of those trends, that can be a really good thing. And it's a lot easier to be seen online these days than to try to figure out where people can see you live.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a thought for you to check out. And I'm trying to think, I don't know if people are doing as much with Eventbrite or not. There used to be a lot of live stuff with Eventbrite, but I haven't seen as much virtual. But meetup.com has been encouraging everybody to do online meetings. And so you might even consider looking, if you go to meetup.com, you can look for small business groups, but you might even find groups of people who are, you know, people who come together to do wedding services. When we were still in Raleigh, there was a group that was a networking group that specifically came together. I don't know if it was a couple of times a month or what, but I know there was a minister, there was a photographer, there was a florist, there was, you know, a clothier. I mean, this group came together specifically to pass referrals back and forth for doing people's weddings. There was a makeup artist. I mean, all this kind of stuff. It was a group specifically for that. So you could do searches on meetup.com and see if you find any of those kinds of things. And you might try LinkedIn as well. If you've never established a account on LinkedIn, I highly recommend that you put one up there and then look for people around Gibson County or, you know, different areas in Indiana and into Kentucky and wherever, and you know, connect with people and just let them know who you are and what you're offering. So hopefully that gives you some ideas to check out anyway.
Well, thank you so
Anybody?
much. I'm very appreciative of all the information.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We're here to serve the business community. And if we can help you in any other way, please let us know. Please keep in touch. And we appreciate you being here with us tonight. Any final thoughts from anybody before we close it out?
If anybody's ever done any videos of weddings that she's already done, that may be something to get permission to see if they will allow her to put that on her Facebook page or website or whatever.
It's true. Video is powerful. Anything you can do with video these days, we're learning a whole lot more about that. So definitely a powerful thing. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and close this out for this evening. This is the Live Your Song Show, and we have had a great conversation, great evening here with our businesses in the Princeton, Indiana area. And we want all of you businesses out there to flourish. There's no reason we can't band together and figure out how to help each other, how to lift each other up, and how to rebuild our local economies. Because if it's to be, it's up to us. We can't wait for the politicians. They ain't gonna do it. So we'll see you all next week, everybody. Thanks again for listening in and watching on the Live Your Song Show. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.